Hi guys! Welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new legal advice content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first one is titled, Neighbors Cut Down My Trees. Pennsylvania, U.S. I'm a fairly new owner of a house, a little over a year, first-time homeowner, and my neighbors decided to drop a tree on their property into my property. In the process of doing so, they cut down what looks like 7 to 10 trees on my property, the most concerning of which are two fairly mature black walnut trees, approximately 40 and 60 years old respectively, and two smaller maple trees, both approximately 15 years old. There were a number of smaller trees cut, destroyed in this process, but these are the trees that have really bothered me. After months of arguing with them about cleaning up the mess, they dropped the trees on my property and then just left them. I have finally got them to pay for a tree company to clean up the mess. That has been done and the damage assessed, to which I asked them to replace the 4 trees mentioned above. They have countered, offering to replace all of the above with one sugar maple tree of 5 to 6 years old. I have been advised that I should ask for them to replace the cut trees with something no less than half the diameter of the trees that were cut. However, that is obscenely expensive to the point that it might not even be doable. I really don't know what to do here. I feel like the offer of one maple tree is a slap in the face, but I really don't know what I am entitled to here. Any advice? Edit 2. Thanks for the responses and to those who have DM'd. Including some more details here to clear up some things. The full story is a bit long and probably not overly relevant to this particular situation, but these are the main details. Neighbors are subdividing their property and building a new house in what used to be the woods behind our house. It has since been clear cut for them to build a house back there. It's their property, it's annoying and an eyesore, but nothing I can do about that. In the process of preparing the existing house for sale, they cut down a very large, dead, ash tree that was clearly on their property. For whatever reason, the tree company advised them that the best way to take the tree down was to drop it into my property, and so they did. I happened to be work from home while this was happening and saw trees on my property being cut and went down to confront them. That conversation went something like this. Me. Excuse me, do you mind telling me why you are cutting down trees on my property? Chainsaw guy. This is your property? Me. Yes. Chainsaw guy. Oh, neighbor's name, didn't talk to you about this? He said he was going to talk to you about this. Me. No one has said crap to me. Chainsaw guy. Let me call him. Neighbor stops by to apologize and gives a long list of how and why this just slipped his mind. He has a lot going on. Father just died. He's taking care of his mother, renovating 2 houses, planning for the new house, etc. My reaction. I have a lot going on too, you know, but I wouldn't ever knowing and willingly damage my neighbor's property. Neighbor has surveyor come to clearly mark property line. Trees are clearly on my property, no question, they agree. I ask for the name of the tree company so I can have them clean up the mess so we can assess the damage. Yes, I should have asked for it the day it happened, but I was part angry and part baffled by the situation and didn't think to. Neighbor refuses to give me the name of the company, stating that I am a horrible human being and I'm going to destroy their lives and ruin their business. I contact multiple lawyers with limited success. I hire a company to come out and remove the pile of trees, we assess the damage, and I send an email to neighbor, who is now refusing to talk to me other than responding to email. Interestingly, the remains of the 2 black walnut trees were not left on the property, just the neighbor's ash tree and the various other smaller trees that they cut on my property. The neighbors offer to plant 1 sugar maple in the center of the damaged area. Update. I tried talking to the neighbor again. As part of the subdivision, they are installing a new septic line that is going to run basically along the property line, within a foot or two. As such, they are clearing a path where the pipe will be laid. I did talk to the county health inspector to see if there are setbacks for septic lines. Unfortunately, there are not. While he was over there cutting more trees, on his property this time, I tried approaching him to ask if we could discuss the situation, to which he responded, no. I expressed that I would like to resolve this between the 2 of us without getting lawyers involved, but he is leaving me little to no choice. He simply ignored me and kept cutting down trees. Since then, I have contacted multiple lawyers. I did find one willing to take the case, but he advised me to hire an arborist that would be willing to testify to the value of the trees as a first step. Turns out it's not so easy to find an arborist, but I eventually did find one that has testified in these types of situations before. After discussing the situation with the arborist, it sounds like I don't have much of a case. He said the black walnut trees are not really worth much and that the maple trees are probably too young to be worth much either. He also mentioned that the value of the trees depends on where on the property the trees were located. Since it is a wooded area of the property, he said that makes them worth even less. All in all, he said he would be willing to come out and do a full assessment, but based on the description he estimated that it would be less than $2,000 total for the 4 trees. The lawyer requires a $2,500 retainer, so all in all it seems like it will most likely not be worth it. I do plan on continuing to research this, but apparently, contrary to what most people in this sub are saying, there really isn't much compensation for this type of situation. The next one is titled, Downstairs Neighbors Dumping Their Feces in Front of Our Building. What can we do? Let me start by saying that I never thought I would be in a situation this disgusting, but sometimes you're just not lucky. The TLDR version of this story is that our neighbors have been shitting in buckets and dumping the remains in front of the park next door. Now, in the interest of due process, I don't want to name any names, but we can just call the culprits Stan and Nancy. As I said before, they live in the basement of a 3-floor apartment building and are directly related to the landlord. Everyone on our block knows Stan from previous neighborhood shenanigans, such as painting his name on the side of the grocery store, breaking into everyone's car, and generally being a violent, drunken wreck during all hours of the morning. Nancy is his partner in crime and live-in girlfriend. They're nothing short of constant threats to the peace around here, and everyone wants them gone, badly. Both their behavior has gone way beyond the pale in just about every way imaginable, and as soon as I, very literally, got wind of this situation, I suspected that they were the culprits. That would later be proven to be true. It started around 1 a.m. when we were woken up by a foul, pungent smell that since burned itself into my nostrils. We instantly assumed this had to be a gas or sewer leak, and, sure enough, the fire department showed up shortly thereafter. Apparently, their detectors didn't pick anything up, however, and they simply left. The next morning is when the giant feces piles were discovered about 20 feet from the front steps of their building, in front of a playground/park. Several days later is when I got the full story from one of my neighbors, learning not only that this has been happening for years, but that there's video evidence to prove it. Apparently, they had taken the initiative to set up night vision cameras on their front porch and recorded the entire crap show. From this we learned that Stan and Nancy had dumped up to 6 5-gallon buckets of urine and feces in front of the park, occasionally walking across the street to place some in various trash cans. You could literally see the waste rolling down the streets. Used tampons and toilet paper were mixed in as well. The police, in typical fashion, aren't doing anything about this. When confronted with the video, the cops simply said that there's nothing illegal about dumping poop in front of a public park and that their hands are tied. They also retrieved some of our neighbor's stolen property that Stan had left sitting by his front door, but haven't bothered following up with an arrest. Meanwhile, their landlord has refused to kick Stan out on account of being his brother, stating only that he'll look into getting their bathroom fixed. Based on how long this has been going on, I highly doubt that will happen anytime soon. So, what the hell are we supposed to do about this? Move? Shovel the poop back into their apartment? Any help would be greatly appreciated. Update 1. The plop thickens. There have been updates sent to the news sites, and someone in the neighborhood called 311. The city said they would submit a report of illegal dumping as well as a formal complaint of there being an illegal conversion, aka a legal apartment. Update 2. A little backed up. Still no word from the city, so there isn't much to report on. A few neighbors have talked about contacting the health department, and that will most likely be happening today. I occasionally feel bad about the possibility of them being evicted, but that quickly goes away when I think back on all the havoc they've caused. Their poop has just been the disgusting icing on the criminal behavior cake. Update 3. Another police report. About an hour ago we received a call from the sanitation police who informed us that, surprise, there's nothing they can do. The only thing that would stick would be if they staked out the location and literally saw the perps do the dumping. Considering how sporadic and random they are, this is pretty much useless. They also said the video wasn't admissible, but that we should call the health department. The health department told me this is a job for the police, and I submitted a report. Currently awaiting to hear back. Here's hoping. They also gave me the contact info for our local city council member. May give that fool a call tomorrow. Final update. Old news, but I figured I would give a final update. We talked to the police one more time, who has always refused to help. The buildings department whom we filed an illegal basement complaint was also a no-show. After that the landlord was given one more ultimatum and, finally, they installed a toilet in the basement. This was about a month and a half ago, and there hasn't been a code brown since. Justice was far from served, and there's still a pair of insane people in the basement. I found a medical glove packed with pills on their front stoop last week, but the problem is seemingly solved. For now. The next one is titled, My city completed work on my property without my consent. Now I have a bill. Do I have to pay? Ohio. My city recently completed a project where they go around and repair city sidewalks. If a part of the sidewalk that needed repair was on your property, you were informed that you would have to pay for the repairs. I noticed that some of my neighbors had also had the apron, part of a driveway that meets the road, usually separated from the rest of the driveway by the sidewalk, their driveway redone by the same people doing the sidewalks. I called the city to inquire about the possibility of having this done. They said they could do it, but at an additional cost. They could not tell me what the cost was other than a cost per square foot, but not an official quote/estimate since I didn't know the measurements. They said they would send me a quote after measuring the apron, and that I would need to sign it and send it back to them. The phone call ended. They emailed me the quote with a request to sign and agree to the price and return the form. I looked at the price, decided I wasn't sure if it was in the budget, and that I would take it home to discuss with my wife. When we got home from work, the work on our driveway/apron had already begun. At no point did I agree to this work, verbally or via requested written agreement. I have read a bit about implied contract law, but I do not think that applies here. I legitimately was considering not having the service done due to the cost, and now I have a large bill. Do I have to pay for the additional, not required, repairs to my driveway which I did not agree to? Update. I've called the city. The person I spoke to says the sidewalk portion of our apron definitely needed to be done, but that he will have to talk to some people and call me back about the rest of it. He seemed to be trying to swing that the apron needed to be done in order to do the sidewalk correctly. Originally the sidewalk wasn't deemed as needing repairs like other local sidewalks. The next one is titled, Neighbor Claiming I Ruined Her Clothes. Texas. In my apartment building there's a shared laundry with 2 washers and dryers. Each tenant has a box on the shelf with their apartment number on it to store their detergent, dryer sheets etc. I always leave my detergent on the shelf in the box. Yesterday my neighbor knocked on my door and told me that she used some of my laundry detergent and it ruined her clothes. She said she's contacting a lawyer on Monday and is going to sue me for the cost of her clothes. She claims it's $5,000. The landlord is away for the weekend. I never gave her permission to use my laundry detergent. She despises me, and also threatened to contact immigration and claim my marriage isn't real. What are the chances of her actually winning? Update. The landlord spoke to the crazy neighbor. This pissed her off and in retaliation she destroyed both washing machines. Now she has to buy new ones. She hasn't said a word to me since. The last one is titled, Neighbor Injured on Sidewalk. Ohio. On Tuesday this week, a neighbor fell and hit her face on the sidewalk in front of my house. She is in for over $4,000 in medical and dental bills. I didn't even know it happened as I was not home at the time. I found out about it just now when it was posted on our neighborhood next door. The neighbor contacted the city and the city said that they are not responsible for maintaining sidewalks, that it is the property owner's job. I am aware of this. The sidewalk is raised maybe a half an inch. I wouldn't even have thought about replacing it until this happened. Basically, the city told her that her only option for getting any of those bills paid is to sue us. She said she isn't going to because she considers it an accident. However, her bills are only going to get more expensive, and I feel like it's just a matter of time before we are dealing with this. We have homeowners insurance. I'm not sure what our med pay limit is, but I wanted to ask first if she were to file a claim with our insurance. Would this be covered under a med pay situation or would it be a personal liability claim? As a follow-up, we have State Farm. What are the potential ramifications of a claim being filed? Increased premiums? Dropped from the insurance? Update. The city came out and looked at where the accident happened. They measured the bump, ½ inch, and said that they don't cite people until it's at least an inch high. I met and talked to the lady. She had consulted a lawyer friend who also said that it was unlikely to be a successful homeowner's claim because of the size of the bump, so she would end up suing us personally and would probably lose and not get an insurance payout. In the end, she didn't want to sue anyway as she just considered it an unfortunate accident. We've exchanged numbers, I've offered to cook, mow her lawn, run errands, etc. while she recuperates, and we're all good. Happy ending. Thanks for listening.